let's just say that Jesus was vengeful. So he goes, dies on the cross. And let's just go with the fact that he rises again. Okay. Now, what he does do is he goes and sees his disciples, does a few things, and then goes off to heaven to prepare a place for us, right? In a nutshell, Cliff Note version. What if Jesus was vengeful? So he rises from the dead and he comes back and he wipes out all of Rome, wipes out all the people that crucified him, all those people that jeered and mocked, all those people that said, hey, if you're king of the Jews, comes down off that cross. What if he wiped them all out? What would be the point then of going to the cross? So what can somebody do to us that's any worse than what they did to Jesus? And Jesus looks down upon them with love and not hate. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Now, of course, Jesus was Jesus. Sometimes we can't do that. Sometimes we do look upon people with eyes of hate. We burn through their soul when we look at them. We say things that cut. We respond in ways of anger. And maybe sometimes it's a righteous anger. We got to be careful. There is times for being righteously angry. That's okay. But we got to check ourselves. But if we're praying for those, then perhaps when that anger rises up, it is righteous. But we got to remember that we are without sin. And this is where it gets real. John 8:7, let any one of you who is without sin be the first to throw a stone. Well, if we're just being honest, I'm sure Joy Behar would throw a stone. I'm sure Whoopi Goldberg would throw a stone because of how they think. It's kind of sad to think about it. Would you throw a stone? Would I throw a stone? I don't know. There might be a time or two that I do chuck a stone. You know? Sometimes I like to think of myself, speaking of the Pope, being a Pope is like successor of Peter. I'm nowhere near Peter. But when Peter denied Jesus 3 times, when Peter lopped off the dude's ear, when Peter spoke out, sometimes I'm Peter. Sometimes I won't hesitate to wrongfully lop off an ear, metaphorically speaking. Maybe not purposefully like Peter was in his position, where people came up to you and said, hey, aren't you one of those followers of Jesus? No, that's not me. I might not be that intentful, but yeah, there's probably plenty of times where I've denied Jesus in some capacity, where I become Peter in that moment. But it wasn't left there, was it? Because then Jesus came back and allowed Peter 3 opportunities. Peter, do you love me? And 3 times Peter said yes. So the importance of Peter is pretty significant, but does it take it to the point of where we have a position in a church and we say it's a successor of Peter, but yet that position, that person in that position isn't anything or anyone that's acting anything like Peter? I mean, Pope Francis, the prior pope, said, okay, if Peter was the rock that Jesus was going to build the church upon, Pope Francis, wasn't he the one in the Philippines that said all religions lead to God? I don't think so. Pope John Paul, did he not have an example of being Christ-like when the person tried to assassinate him? What was it, back in the 80s? And he ends up going to the prison cell, meeting with the person, forgiving that person,